Who's ready? Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to another great session here with MBA Broker Consultants. We don't just play the game, we change it, and we help you change your game too. Today we have another awesome power-packed session lined up for you. Our topic is strategy and competition, everyone's favorite topic. So let's go ahead and get started. Hello, Linda Maxwell from Boston. Hi, Linda. Welcome. Glad to have you here. While everybody's tuning in, I'm going to go ahead and just share our activity file for today. It's called MasterMind Activity 6. So I'm going to go ahead and just share that right now. That way everybody can be downloading it and getting ready for our session today. All right. Dave Faxel from Chicago. Hey, Dave. Glad to have you on board today. Welcome to another Wealthy Winning Wednesday. Woohoo! Who's making the best of that today? All right. Shukita Duncan from Tennessee. Hey, we had a great conversation yesterday. Glad to have you on board today. Welcome. All right. So far, we have 13 people on. I've only been on the air a minute, so all right, welcome. We have 14 people here today. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my webcam and just get ready here. Who's ready to start your own brokerage? Our topic is blueprints to build your empire profitably, and we can't wait to get started. So who's with me here today? Our topic today is start your own brokerage. We're on step 6, strategy and competition. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us here for another great Wealthy Winning Wednesday. We've been talking about the Fortune 500 concepts and learning about all those great things that the big corporations do without the MBA price tag. And you know a little bit about us at MBA Broker Consultants. We're here to change the game, not just play it, and we help you do the same as well. So today's mastermind is a 6 of 12 steps to build your empire. We'll have an activity workbook, a bonus download, and some resources. And today's session is for brokerage owners only. A little bit about me, I think most of you already know, but I have an MBA degree, BA in real estate, and licensed for 30 years, a brokerage owner of California Coast and Country Homes. And my goal is to help you elevate the standards of professionalism in our real estate industry. So we've been talking about building, and this should say number 6, which is exterior walls. Our topic today is strategy and competition. Keep building those walls so you can leverage your core competencies and scale. Okay, so on our agenda today, we have a strategic plan. We have a SWOT response. We'll talk about competitors, increasing your capacity to scale, metrics and KPI. We'll learn what that means. Innovation and blue ocean strategy. Okay, we have a couple more good mornings, so we'll pause for that. Janice, hey Janice, glad to have you on with us. Karen Taylor says hi. Christina from Good Morning from Valley Center. Welcome everybody. First, let's talk about what a strategy is not. Hope is not a strategy. Right? Wishing and praying is not a strategy. Hoping that something will happen when you haven't planned for anything to happen is probably not a good strategy. Hope is good in itself, but it's not a good strategy for future planning for your business. So, what is your strategic plan? Strategic planning is a process of determining where a business is going and how it plans to get there. And that's from one of my favorite books, Strategy for Real Estate Companies. And That's this little book right here. I don't know if you can all see that. It's actually an excellent book. I'm not going to recommend it today because it's actually not for residential real estate companies. It's for commercial real estate companies. Their strategies, tactics, business plans are completely different than us residential real estate brokerages. So therefore, I'm not necessarily going to recommend that book today, but there is some good information in there. We do have a lot of books that we'll be covering, and at the end, we'll have 5 recommended books for you today. So we have a quote here from General Dwight D. Eisenhower. He says, "Plans are useless, but planning is indispensable." So that's a little humorous. So you're thinking, well, why should I bother planning if I'm not going to use the plans? Because it's the process of planning that gets you to where you need to go. The process of planning will allow you to see what's coming up in the road ahead, what core competencies you have, how you can move ahead with your rivals. Although we don't have a crystal ball, we can't anticipate the future 100%. We don't always know what's going to happen, so the plans that we make aren't always going to come to fruition. They need to be flexible because we can't always implement what we planned. So that's why he says plans are useless, but the planning process is critical for a business. Then we have another not so famous quote: "If you don't have a plan, that is a plan." Okay, sort of funny, but it's true, right? If we don't have any plan at all, we're just blowing in the wind, and whatever comes along is going to uproot us. And that's our plan, is to go with whatever happens. So if you don't have a plan, your plan is to do nothing. Your plan will be subject to everybody else's plan, including whatever comes along in the market conditions. What's your GPS? And if you're on here, good morning, Veloz Wright, courtesy of her great suggestion yesterday. GPS stands for goals, plans, and strategy. A GPS is a navigation system that tells us where we're going and how to get there. And that's what your goals do. You start with your big goals. Then each of your goals, you have plans of how you're going to implement those, and then a strategy for each of those plans. So there you go. GPS system. There's your navigation system. Why should we plan? Well, the real estate is a highly cyclical industry. We don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. So it is subject to economic downturns. We don't know when the market's going to turn. We don't know how much it's going to turn or how long it's going to last. So it's important to always have a plan in place and then be prepared to adjust that plan as we see the market unfolding. Another reason to plan is because of tech trends. Tech trends are things that are happening in the market due to innovation and development, not necessarily things that we're part of that we created, but things that are going to happen. And when they happen, how are they going to affect our business? Now, I know I'm speaking in kind of generalities here, but there are a lot of us in the real estate industry that we see some big corporate tech companies opening up shop, funding with millions of dollars, maybe billions of dollars. Do you think that's going to affect our business? Of course it will, because they're using innovation, new developments, and how will that affect us and our business? Another thing that happens is competitors suddenly appear out of nowhere, right? How many of us have had that happen? And the most important reason to plan is because change is a law of nature. Everything that's alive, everything that's living is constantly changing. If we're not also changing and adapting, we're going to get left behind, right? So it's important to plan and put your strategic plan together. Your strategic plan is like a roadmap. As we said earlier, it tells you where you're going, how to get there, and there's various roads you can take, or you can make your own road as you go along. So, what approach will you take in your business? This is a great segment from AASBC, which is the Association of Accredited Small Business Consultants. And one of the things that they teach is your strategic approach can be either on one side of the scale or the other. So as you're looking at your business, you're saying, am I a low-cost provider or a higher quality service? Right? You can be at one end of the spectrum or the other end, or you can be somewhere in between. What about wider product selection, or do I focus on a specific narrow market niche? Am I the first to market and the cheapest to market, or am I going to hold back, let those others be first, learn from their mistakes, and be the best to market? Do I have technical superiority that I can bring to the business? Or am I going to be adding value-added services to the products I already have? What about expanding my vertical supply chain, right? Or diversifying into complementary businesses? And we'll talk more about these today. The main point is, are you going to be proactive or reactive? Proactive means planning ahead and anticipating change and being prepared for it, versus reactive, which is unanticipated change hits you and all of a sudden you don't know what happened. I know this was the case for many of us 10 years ago in the market downturn. Very few, if any of us, anticipated how deep the recession would go and how long it would last and the effects on the real estate business. It's been said, when the economy catches a cold, the real estate industry catches pneumonia. And that's true, right? So our goal is we want to be proactive and planning ahead. So strategic planning means selecting new strategies for the future and redirecting the firm's energies and resources. And that's compliments of the book, The Secrets of Strategic Management by Igor Ansoff. Now, I'm not going to be recommending his book today either. The reason is because it's very complex and it revolves around something called turbulence in the market. So we are going to talk about the market turbulence from his book, but again, it's not the whole book that I want you to go out and read. We'll just sort of concentrate and focus on one specific area of his book. It's very revolutionary, and he's definitely one of the leaders in strategic planning. So, what are the 4 steps? The 4 steps are, number 1, predict the future environmental trends. So that means, how do we know what's going to happen around us? Well, we're going to do some market research. Number 2 is plot the threats and opportunities. That's our SWOT. Back to our SWOT again that we did in week number 1. By the way, if you have week number 1, you've prepared your SWOT, why don't you go ahead and pull it out? We're going to be working on it in a few minutes. Number 3 is develop strategies to leverage opportunities and neutralize threats. So what does that involve? It involves what we're talking about today is, how are we going to capitalize on opportunities, and how are we going to make those threats irrelevant and not harm our business? And number 4 is allocate financial and other resources to pursue strategies. So once we have a strategic plan, we need to decide how we're going to move forward. What is it going to cost? Do we have the capital and resources to move ahead with that? Our strategy is set on 7 pillars. And the basic bottom, as you can see here, is our mission, vision, and core values. So I'm just going to draw that right here with our, see if we can, feel. Whoops. Okay, it's taking me a minute to get the little whiteboard working here. Okay, so that's our mission, vision, and core values. And remember, that was in week number 1. What is our mission, vision, and core values? That's the reason we did that first, because that is the guiding direction. That's the foundation for our company. So the pillars that are supporting this strategy are core competencies, we're going to learn about today. Capacity to scale, we'll learn about that today too. Revenue streams, we already went over this in session 4. Pricing and services, we talked about this last time in session 5, right? Organization management, that'll be our next session, session 7, and then innovation, which will be later on as well. So, which one of these do we need to support our strategy? And which one of these are built on our core mission, vision, and values? The answer is all 7, right? Hey, was everybody able to download the workbook? Please let me know if you could in the chat if you're able to download the workbook. I see we're up to 25 people right now. Just wanted to make sure everybody was able to download it. Now we're going to go back to our SWOT. Our SWOT responses, well, okay, to go back to week number 1, we had a worksheet, we outlined our SWOT. Now we're going to take that SWOT, we're going to do something with it. So if you could, get it out and let's take a look at it. Linda says yes. Our core competencies. Oh, Christina says yes. Great. Awesome. Core competencies, what are those? We hear a lot about core competencies. It's sort of a big term that sometimes companies like to throw around about why they're bigger and better than others. Linnell, Sean, you got it? Awesome. Good. So our core competencies are capabilities the firm emphasizes and performs especially well in pursuing its vision. And that's from the reference book, Understanding Business Strategy. It's a very good example of core competencies. So how do we know what they are? Well, our core competencies, when we're looking for them, we'll discover our strengths, our resources, and our capabilities. We'll use those core competencies to create customer value and get a competitive advantage over our competitors, right? And most importantly, those core competencies, those things that we do better than anybody else, we're going to leverage those to skyrocket above the competitors, and those are called distinctive competencies. So think about what your brokerage company does that gives you an advantage over competitors in the marketplace, and what you do better than everybody else that consumers look to you for that gives you that distinctive edge. Okay, Liliana says yes. Okay, great. So here's our SWOT matrix. We remember this from week number 1. We have 4 basic quadrants. We have advantages and drawbacks. And the internal advantages are our strength. The internal drawback are our weaknesses for our company. And the external advantages are called opportunities. And the external drawbacks, those are threats. So let's keep going and take a little closer look at this now. By now you should have downloaded the workbook. And on the workbook, you can see it says SWOT strategy. So we have the strengths and opportunities listed first. Those will be your core competencies and how you implement those. So if you could go back and pull out your workbook that you completed in week number 1, and you listed 3 of your strengths, write down your strengths, and then on each of those, write down a recommendation of how you plan to implement those strengths. And do the same thing for opportunities. for each of the opportunities available externally in the market that you have no control over, they're coming whether you like it or not, how do you capitalize on those? For each of the weaknesses that you have as a company, things that you don't do well internally, how are you going to neutralize those? How will you delegate to overcome those weaknesses? And number 3 are your threats. So the threats that you have in the marketplace, what are your recommendations of how to deal with those so they don't impact your business or the impact is minimal? So we do have a bonus for you at the end today. I won't give it to you right now, but we'll give it at the end. So remind me when we get down to the end. The bonus is going to have a lot of information about SWOT examples. So it'll have a section for strengths, and it will have examples of various strengths and how you can utilize those core competencies. It will also have a section for weaknesses, and then it will help you understand how you can improve, outsource, or delegate. And the same thing with the opportunities. How do you calculate what those are and capitalize? And then the various threats, how do you reduce them or neutralize them? So it's just sort of an example of different areas that you can look at it as you're doing your SWOT recommendations and responses. Here we have a Fortune 500 concept called Porter's 5 Forces, and this is from Michael Porter. Hold on, I got his book right here. Okay. Understanding Michael Porter is the book. And Michael Porter deals with 5 forces. By the way, he's one of the leading authorities and leaders, basically thought leaders for marketing and business strategy. So he breaks it down into 5 forces that can affect your business. And looking in the middle, I got my little whiteboard here. Let's see if I can draw this time. In the middle, we see internal rivalry. Is it high, medium, or low? Is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying stable? Then you have over here supplier power. Are there a lot of suppliers in your industry? Are they powerful? Do they have leverage? What about threat of new entrants? Right? Are there a lot of businesses that might compete with yours coming in that may shut down your business or take away some of the profitability? What about ease of substitution? Ease of substitution is how easily can the customers do something else besides pay you for a service. And we have in here, watch a YouTube video. So if you have a training class, they say, why would I pay for training? I could just watch a YouTube video, right? Ease of substitution. And then we have customer power. So your customer power is depending on how many choices are available to the customer. So again, this is a good little exercise to do when you have a little time. And another one of our Fortune 500 concepts is competitive strategies. Now, I really want you to think about, as we go through this, where your brokerage sits in this cross section. On the top, we have lower cost and differentiation. And then on the left side, we have your market target, which is either a broad cross section of buyers or a very narrow market segment or a niche. So let's think about who is a low cost provider that has appeals to a broad cross section of buyers. In other words, the mass market of everybody. And when we say that, what comes to mind? Probably Walmart. They have an overall low cost provider strategy. And what's the opposite of that? Over here, we have a company that's differentiated and they appeal to a narrow market. So the opposite of that might be what Nordstrom's, let's say. And that would be the red box, focused differentiation strategy. And you can also have sort of a hybrid of each of these. So think about your real estate business and your competitors. Are there competitors who are appealing to mass buyers and sellers, just anybody and everybody, and they want to be the low-cost provider with maybe a super low commission that they're charging. And then think about a company that has differentiated themselves and they're going after a narrow market segment. So one that comes to mind is, say, for example, your niche is probate and you're specifically set up to handle probate. You work with probate attorneys and people refer clients to you for estate sales and things like that. And you handle the whole process from start to finish. You don't just sell their house, but you help them clean out their house. You help them, as a go-between with their attorney, find the market value of the house for the attorney and all those things that go along with a probate sale. So that might be an example of a focused differentiation strategy. Anybody have any questions? I don't see any questions in the chat, so please let me know if you have questions. Now, I said we would have a book called The Secrets of Strategic Management by Igor Ansoff. We would have another little chart from him. So this is it. This is called environmental turbulence. This is a pretty easy concept to grasp, but it's something we don't think about very much. So think about the real estate industry. What level is it at? Is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the environmental turbulence? A 1 would be a very repetitive industry that's not changing much, whereas a 5 on the complete opposite side would be a surpriseful environment with unpredictable, discontinuous change in the market all the time. Now, some of us think that's where the real estate industry is. It's not. The real estate industry actually varies between 2, which is a slowly expanding market, to 3, which is a fast-paced changing market, to 4, a discontinuous, unpredictable market. Right now, I think our real estate industry is probably somewhere between a 3 and a 4. So knowing that, there's 2 things that you as a business owner need to do. Number 1, you need to match your strategic aggressiveness to the turbulence in the market. So in real estate, let's look at, I'm going to try my little whiteboard here again. Let's look at number 3 and number 4. If we're responding to the market with our strategic aggressiveness, it means we're anticipating that change and we're being entrepreneurial and looking for opportunities. And the second part is that our management must be responsive, and that response must match the environmental turbulence as well. So in this example, we'll say our management is market driven. They're looking for familiar change, or better yet, I recommend being environment driven and seeking related change within the industry. Okay. Everybody okay with that? Any questions? I hope that's not too many charts for us today. Okay, now we're talking about competitors. Competitors are our rivals in the marketplace. So we have a little poll for you. Who are your primary competitors? I'm going to go ahead and put up our poll here. All right, who are your primary competitors? Are they A, large franchises and corporations who seem to dominate the landscape in your city? Or are they B, a whole lot of small indie brokerages just like you who are competing for each other's business? Or is it C, we have none because we are unique? Let's talk about C for just a minute. If you say you have no competitors, you're so unique and what you offer in the market is so unprecedented that if your business didn't exist, consumers would not buy or sell real estate. Is that really realistic? Probably not. So I don't think any of us are C. This is a highly competitive industry. The other problem with number C is if a business thinks they're so unique that they have no competitors, it makes you wonder if there really is a need for that product or service in the marketplace. There probably isn't if you have no competitors. It means that probably everybody else is figured out that there's no market for it, and that's why you have no competitors there. So to determine your competitors, just look and see what others around you are doing and what a customer would do if they didn't come to you. For example, let's look at a real estate agent. If your real estate agent didn't join your company, what would be their second, third, or fourth choice? Where else would they go? And that's who you should look at as your competitors. We're going to end the poll. Our response was not very exciting, but interesting. It was 100% said large franchises and corporations are your primary competitors. We're going to start by doing some market research. There's a couple places you can get market research. You can go online to NAR. They have a profile of real estate forms report. We also have our company's brokerage industry insight report. Now, back in January, some of you were kind enough to help us with that data by completing our online survey. So what we did is we took that, we compiled it into a report, and I do have that available for you. Okay, I should say there's two ways you can get that report. So the first thing is you can buy it online on our new site. The second way is you can get this report free. And let me look for the link real quick for that. And it's surveys and survey. And the way you get it free is you complete our brokerage tech tools survey. And once you complete it within 24 hours, you will get a free copy of that. And this is great market research. I'm going to go back to the chat here. All right, I'm putting it in the chat. So that is our link to SurveyMonkey to get our free document, which is this Real Estate Brokerage Industry Insight Report. I'm also going to put it as a sticky chat at the top. So let me do that now. Okay, so I know some of you can't see the sticky chat, but it's up at the top. For those of you that can't see it, I put it in the regular chat there. And Ted Mendoza says, thank you. You're welcome, Ted, and thank you for completing the report. I should say the survey that led to the report. So once you've done your market research, you need to determine industry benchmarks. Benchmarks means where is everybody else with their different metrics and statistics. We're going to talk about that in a little while today. We also need to track our competitors, and we need to discover unmet needs that consumers have. And remember, we have two different types of customers. We have our real estate agents, and then we also have the buyers and sellers. Okay, competitor overview. This should be on your activity worksheet. Please take a look at it. I've provided room for you to list 3 of your competitors and to do a little stealth data research on them. So you just said you did have some competitors. So take a look at your 3 biggest competitors. How do you find those? How do you know who's doing the most volume? Well, you can do an informal way. Drive around your neighborhood and see who has the most for sale signs. Also, look at the postcards you get in the mail. I suggest, however, going to the MLS because that will give you the true facts. Go to the MLS, pull down for your zip code, and see which competitors are doing business in your area and what their volume was. You can also go to, and that's B actually on our little overview here. You can go to A. A is number of agents. Where do you find that? You just go to the state licensing agency website, pull down their number of agents. That allows you to calculate the average volume per agent, which is B divided by A. Then you need to know D, what is their compensation plan? How do you find out what your competitors are doing? You may already know, and if you do, that's good. because you need to know where they fit as far as what you're doing, what they're doing. But another way is, now, last week we said we're going to be recruiting agents. When you recruit agents, what do? You pull them into your office, take them out to lunch, you interview them, right? You ask them, what are you doing right now? So that you can compare that and give them a better offer. So you're going to be learning about what your competitors are doing when you interview agents that you're recruiting. Also, you might get recruited yourself. There might be a big brokerage that tries to recruit you. And if you say yes and take them up on their offer of a free lunch, it's your opportunity to find out their compensation plan and how they operate differently from you. So, right, what is that? Stealth market research. And E is the brokerage gross profit margin annually, and you can figure that out by understanding what C is, their average volume per agent, and then D, how the agents are being compensated, and then what's left is obviously going to go to the brokerage gross income. So hope that helps you. Be sure to do that for 3 competitors in your marketplace. Oh, and I have another bonus for you. Let me share that right now. It's called a competitor grid. It's actually in Microsoft Excel. That's why I wasn't able to include it with the PDF download in the workbook. Okay, this is called a competitor grid. I made it up myself. So go ahead and download it, and then let me know in the chat if you can download that. There's 2 sheets. One is for agents, and one is for consumers, which are your buyers and sellers. So what you want to do is go through and look at the customer rating of importance for each of these areas. And would customers rate on a scale of 1 to 10 as being really important and critical, they must have it, or 1 not that important? So be sure to go through and rate that all. And then once you rate it, look at your business. Now you're going back to your SWOT sheet here. You're looking at your strengths and your weaknesses in each area that's listed, each of those factors. And then how would you rate your business? Would you give yourself a 2 in that area? Do the strengths outweigh the weaknesses? Hopefully. And if so, you would have a 5 or to a 10. If the weaknesses outweigh the strengths, it'd probably be, a 0 to a 4 in that category. So give yourself a rating, and then do that for each of the 3 competitors you just looked at. And this will tally up and let you know the total rating for yourself, each of your top 3 competitors, and then you can rank them and see who's in the perceived best as far as what the customers think is the most relevant in the marketplace. Let's go back to our chat here. Okay, Ted says, got it. Awesome. Thanks for the heads up, Ted. Examine and evaluate your competitors. How many agents do they have? What is their pricing? In other words, what do they offer to agents and consumers? What is their vendor selection? Are they opening more locations? What about their marketing, their customer needs? How are they financing their business? Do they have a competitive advantage? What about their profitability? I know we've seen a lot of low-cost brokerages that say, come to us, we're the best. But then you wonder if they're making a profit and if they're still going to be in business in a couple of years. So just because they are big or might seem to dominate the market doesn't mean they're being profitable. And maybe you can operate more efficiently to do something that rivals them, but yet you make a profit because you've taken these classes and you know about profitability, whereas somebody just trying to get everybody in everybody's business might not necessarily be profitable. So again, our goal is not to meet the competition. Don't have a meet mindset. Our goal is to beat the competition. If you don't beat the competition, they'll beat you first. So let's beat the competition, not meet them. Now, how do we build capacity to increase and scale? We have a little poll here. What is holding you back from scaling your company? All right, let's see. What is holding you back from scaling your company? Is it capital funding, or should we say you need capital funding, or you don't have capital funding? Is it B, lack of time to plan, which we're doing today? So, my hat's off to you. Good job. Or is it C, you just don't know where to start? There's so many different things that you have to do and you feel overwhelmed. And if so, that's fine too, because we're here to help you today. Okay, we got some good answers, some great responses so far. All right, everybody, be sure to join in on this poll. Capital funding, lack of time to plan, or you just don't know where to start. We're going to end the poll in just a minute, so go ahead and answer. We got some great responses here so far. Capital funding's at 33%. Oh, just changed to 38%. Lack of time to plan, 25%. Don't know where to start, 33%. Capital funding just changed to 44%. 40%. Okay, great. We're getting some really good responses here. Thank you, everybody, for answering the poll. And I'm going to go ahead and end. All right, 3, 2, 1. Okay, that was great. A little bit in each category. So now we sort of know why we're not scaling. Let's talk about how we get there. How do you create capacity, right? We're going to talk about benchmark statistics to know where we're at and how to measure that. What about our internal operations? Do we have systems down pat? We're going to learn about that in next week's session, which is management operations. What about supply chain management? Supply chain is going above you and below you. So one example of supply chain management is, say, for example, you're buying leads from somewhere. Well, in order to create capacity and grow your company, you want to be in control of those leads. So you learn how to create your own company leads, right? So that you can manage that supply chain more efficiently. And what about vertical integration? Vertical integration are services that consumers would go to before us or after us. Can you incorporate those so that you can have a good base from which to scale and grow your company? So build capacity. Are you ready to scale? What are your capacity limitations? Who watches the Tiny House on HGTV, right? Watch the Tiny House shows. Those are so cute, those little tiny houses. What are they built on? They're built on an axle with wheels for a trailer. How big are those? Small, they're teeny. Is that like your real estate brokerage? You're the only one producing revenue and you have 3 agents and they aren't doing much, but you can't really grow because if you were to bring on 30 agents, you would have no way to train them, no way to onboard them, no way to supervise them, no way to coordinate the transactions or calculate the commissions. So you're limited by your capacity. When you build your capacity wider and bigger, like we see in this illustration, then you're prepared to handle more business. Okay, any questions? Let me know. We got another Fortune 500 concept for you here. These are economies. I've called them the 4 economies. The first one is economy of scope. Second is economy of scale. Third is economy of learning. And fourth is economies of expertise. So let's take a look at that now. Here we have the economies of scope. That is the cost savings that's created by sharing resources and capabilities. So let's think how we can exercise this economy and tap into it in a real estate brokerage. For example, we're renting an office space. We know our agents aren't coming in and utilizing the office, so we have extra resources and capabilities. Maybe we rent out an office space to a mortgage lender, right? So that fulfills several goals, but that allows you to take the resources and capabilities that you already have and create a cost savings by using it across more platforms. What about the economies of scale? Those are the cost advantages gained by increased production. Like, say, for an example, if you go to a manufacturing company and they're manufacturing 3 widgets a week, their overhead's pretty high. But if they're manufacturing 3,000 widgets a day, then they have taken advantage of that overhead cost and spread it out across a lot of widgets, so the cost per unit goes down. That's the same thing that happens to real estate investors when they purchase an apartment complex with 100 doors as compared to managing 50 or owning 50 single family residences, right? They're taking advantage of that economies of scale. So how does that work in a real estate brokerage? Last week, we talked about agents, and I said at minimum of 30 is the optimal number. Why? Because that creates an economy of scale. So you're not running around doing everything yourself. Now you can delegate and you can hire people to help with processes, and that cost is absorbed or spread across all of your agents, 30 agents rather than just 2 or 3. Okay, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Please let me know if you have any questions. And then briefly, we have economies of learning. That's all the knowledge that you've learned in your business experience and all the experiences the business has had, to say that, for example, a brokerage that's been in business for 20 years hopefully has more economies of learning than one that just opened their doors last year that knows nothing. They have all these great ideas, but some of them aren't going to work because you've already been there and done that, right? So that's knowledge that compounds in the company's favor. And lastly, we have economies of expertise, and that is leveraging skill sets through teamwork and collaboration, right? So again, we see that exponentially growing in these economies. Now let's talk about metrics. This is the fun part. We're going to track, measure, and assess. Why do we track what we're doing? We track so we know where we're at. How can you measure and improve something if you haven't tracked it, right? So it starts with engaging, you measure, then once you measure, you innovate to meet that need, you propagate your solution, which is execute it, and then you strategize to see what worked. Let's continue doing that or ramp it up. What didn't work, let's decrease that a little bit, okay? Okay, so now that you know your market statistics, or if you don't know your market statistics, you can get that from look up current sales prices and statistics. Not just your MLS, there are a lot of other resources that condense that information and can deliver that to you, and your realtor association. So make sure you know what's happening in your market, and then put your daily dashboard together. Because like we said, what gets measured can be improved. So I have a few sources for you to measure and improve your daily dashboard and what's going on in your business. So we have what we call KPI. It's just a fancy acronym. It means key performance indicators. So it's your dashboard that tells you, here's what's going on in the business. It's measuring the health of various things in your business, your finances, your marketing, your sales, your production, your volume, your number of agents, your customers served, buyers and sellers served, and all of those types of things are measured. So I have a few resources for you here. We have grow.com, which is a great resource for a dashboard. CTE, which is ctebiz.com, Domo, and then Realty Meter, which is actually, I believe, for real estate agents, but they are producing a new version for brokerage owners as well. So those are my favorite go-to resources for dashboards. Hopefully you can benefit from some of those. Innovation, this is our last section. We have a poll for you now. What is the best way to innovate new services? All right, let's go to our poll. Reset poll. What's the best way to innovate new services? Is it reducing your costs, which we're going to look at next week when we talk about operational management? Is it raising the value, right? Raising the offerings that you provide, or in the customer's mind, the offerings, or sort of a trick question, but I think you're all getting it. Number C, both. Yay, right answer. Okay, 100% said both. You guys are so smart. That's why I love talking to you. So with that being said, we have another separate session that's called Be the Boss and Dominate Your Market. B.O.S. stands for Blue Ocean Strategy Success, and it's how real estate brokerages innovate, differentiate, and capture unique market share. Now, of course, we don't have time to review this whole thing today, but I have a few tidbits I'm going to share with you. And we got our chat bar open if you have any questions as we go along. What is blue ocean strategy? What is red ocean strategy? Hold on, I got the book. Hey, do you like how I got all my books ready this time? Didn't have to look through my bookshelf. Okay, blue ocean strategy, there it is. It's a revolutionary book that talks about, in a competitive marketplace, how you can break that cycle of always trying to, beat the competition, be better than the competition. The reason it's called Blue Ocean is because right now, each of us brokerage owners, we're in the ocean sailing in our ship. And what do we see? We look out, we see another competitor in their ship. And what do? They get their cannon out and fire on us. And we get our cannons out, we fire back on them. And all of a sudden, people are being thrown overboard. And now you've got the sharks circling in the water, and the water turns bloody red. Red from the blood of killing each other. That's a red ocean strategy. That perfectly describes the real estate marketplace. Some people use the term commission compression. Okay, that is a good term. But what does that say? It says that there's too many competitors all doing the same thing, competing head to head with each other. So instead, what we want to do is get back in our ship, sail away into a blue ocean where there's no competitors and we don't have to compete head to head with them. As a matter of fact, we're going to create our own new market. We're going to create our own new ocean, and there's nobody around us. Nobody can even catch us because we're doing something so unique and we're meeting customers' needs that the competitors didn't anticipate because they're all doing the same thing and copying each other, and we're doing something totally different. Okay, so that's blue ocean strategy in a nutshell. The goal is to, as we said in the poll, reduce your operational costs by eliminating and reducing factors the industry is already competing on, like things that the brokerages are doing that the consumers don't really care about, and raising the value by lifting buyer values lifted by raising and creating elements the industry has never offered. What do consumers really want that no brokerages are providing? And then when you have the intersection of those two, that's called your value innovation, where costs are lowered, value is raised, at the same time, simultaneously, without sacrificing one or the other, and you create a new market where previous non-buyers are reached. So that's the optimal place to be. There is a specific process to go through in your business. It's not something that happens instantly, but it is something that you can successfully do by going through the process and learning how, with their 4 actions framework, how to create new services and dominate your market and make the competitors irrelevant, right? Who needs them anyway when consumers are clamoring for what you do? So to innovate and differentiate, again, we looked at blue ocean strategy. You looked at your market niche, and the goal is to have long-term goals and an exit plan for the future. You need to know how your company is going to grow and scale. How is it going to obtain competitive advantage? And most importantly, the bottom line is what? Profits. How do you maximize those profits? Okay. Oh, Janice says lost connection. Okay. Okay, please let me know, everybody, if you're still there. Take action. So our goal today is to write a strategic plan, and that's all well and good, but most importantly is to put it into action, to execute it. Implement and execute with peak efficiency are the keys to success. So our goal is to act continuously, never stop. Why? Because our competitors never stop and the market never stops changing. So our goal is to constantly measure our performance and keep performing. Oh, everybody's here. Angelina, Donna, Christina, Linnell, Karen. Okay, awesome, great. And Janice, I see you got it back. Oh, Linda says here, but I lost you for a minute also. Okay, sorry, guys. So we have our top 5 books today. Let's see what I got here for you. A few of them I already showed you. I have the advantage. Let's see. I don't know if you can see that because of the light. But anyway, it's on the screen there. Patrick Lencioni, he's one of the masters of business and definitely a great book about organizational health. We have the Lean Strategy. This is an excellent, excellent book using Toyota's lean manufacturing system. The whole book is really not relevant to real estate because they do talk a lot about manufacturing businesses, but there are some excellent, excellent nuggets in there. And if you like, get on audio, listen in the car, on your phone, that type of thing. One of our resources is Success GPS, which is a business growth intensive conference. So that's something you can think about attending when they have one coming up next. And our free gift to you, okay, here it goes. I know you waited till the end. Thank you, everybody, for waiting. But we do have another file to share with you. Okay, this is called the SWOT list of examples. So let me know if you got that, if you can download it. It's our bonus for today. The SWOT list goes through the various strengths and gives some examples that will help jog your memory so that you can list out what your strengths are, some weaknesses, opportunities, threats. It's a comprehensive list. And I actually have an even more comprehensive list that has twice as much on it, but I didn't want to share that with you because you'll probably feel overwhelmed. But if we do a strategy session with you, if we help your business, then that is something that we would do with you. We'd sit down and go over that and help you extract all those important things. Okay, Linda says, nice bonus. Got it. Okay, awesome. Great. We're on the right track here. Speaking of tracks, even if you're on the right track, you'll get run over if you just sit there, right? That's true. So what do we need to do? Take action. Put your plan together, strategize, and execute. Execution is important, but not the most important thing. But again, if you have a strategic plan and you analyze till you're paralyzed and you do nothing, then you might as well have not even had a plan if you don't execute. So make sure that you strategize and then execute. So this was our 6 of 12 steps to build your empire. You got your activity workbook, your bonus download, and your resources. And today we learned about the Fortune 500 concepts without the MBA price tag. Any questions, please let me know. As always, I am available. We do have a couple real estate brokerages who have taken advantage of our custom business plan. So what I did is I'm just going to go ahead and put that up for you today. New offer. Okay, got a new offer for you. 3 business plans. So we have an offer up. It's our 3 business plans. The basic is $1,250, advanced $2,500, advanced with the pro forma $5,000, and those are now available to you on our new site. So go ahead and check that out. Let us know what you think. And once again, thank you very much for tuning in, for taking time out of your busy day today. I know you have a lot in your business, but I do want you to mark on your calendar next week. Next week, we're going to talk about operations management. Those are the systems that run your business. We're going to talk about the importance of automating your system, measuring your system, and putting all the pieces in place so that you can scale like we showed you how to do today. And speaking of coming up, we have something really awesome for you. This is going to be really a treat. I'm just putting the finishing touches on it now. It's called Crush the Calendar, and it is our annual planning session that we're going to have for brokerage owners only. So we will go through some dates. One of our bonuses will be we're going to have dates that brokerages need to mark on their calendar annually, quarterly, monthly, things like that. Important dates you don't want to miss. So I hope everybody's able to tune in to Crush the Calendar session coming up soon. And remember, we do offer consultations to real estate brokerage owners, aspiring brokerages, and we help you discover new innovative markets or rev up your profit, write your business plan, or whatever your goal is. We can help you go through your SWOT too. My contact information, I'm always available, so feel free to reach out at any time. Email, phone, website, probably Facebook is the best way to contact me right away during the day. So you can always send me a Facebook message too. And that is the end of step 6. Start your brokerage with strategy and competition. I hope this was useful to everybody today for your real estate brokerage. And let's see, we're going to turn off our slide presentation here. So this is Regina, and I'm just wishing everybody a great and productive day today. I hope you're able to put into use some of the tools that we gave you today. Use the workbook, set aside a little time to go through it. And also this replay will be available. You'll get an email in about 24 hours with a link to this webinar. So I hope that if you didn't get to watch all of it, or if you just want to go through it again, feel free. You can watch as many times as you like. Get all this great MasterMind information. Donna says, thank you, Regina. You're welcome. Thanks, Donna. Karen, great information as always. Thank you. You're welcome. Ashley Hammonds, thank you. You're welcome. Linda, thanks, Regina. You're welcome. I hope everybody had a great, wealthy, winning Wednesday today, and we'll see you soon. Mark your calendars again for next week, and we'll talk to you later. Liliana says, thank you. Thanks, Liliana. Okay, bye, everybody. Oh, Carrie Wilbanks. Thank you, Carrie. Sean, thank you. Angelina, bye, everybody. Thank you.